I eat that already? Man, I'm still hungry. These are Montana Sapphires, direct from the mine. They're unheated, which is not common of Montana Sapphire. A lot of it gets heated. These have been tumbled, so they're easier to evaluate for cutters. And they range between about 5.5 carats down to about 3.9 carats. So this is what I'll be cutting for unheated Montana Sapphire. So of my no heat unheated Montana Sapphire, this is the smallest piece. I'm going to cut that one. It's already shaped into a rectangular shape, preformed, so I'm going to cut that into rectangular shape. Now this one was the smallest, as I said. It weighs in at 2.77 carats, just under 3 carats. Now there is one other unheated sapphire that I picked up at Tucson, but it's included, but it's rather large. It's 16.91 carats, but it has inclusions. It's unheated, and I'm going to cut that one later. I'm going to cut it for size because it does have inclusions. We'll see how that turns out at maybe a later video. This is the one we're going to cut now, the smallest one, just to work on it. And then I want to take a look at the inclusions, so I'm going to put it in my refractol. See if I can pick up anything with refractol. So there's some inclusion, but it's fairly clean. So anyway, this is the Montana Sapphire that I'm going to cut. I like the light blue, kind of cornflower blue color, so let's see how this works out. I figured I'd use the smallest piece of Montana Sapphire that I have, just in case something goes wrong. And since this piece is already shaped like a rectangle, the design is a no-brainer. I'll use my go-to design for an emerald cut, the traditional standard oblong step cut with cut corners. Here is what this traditional design looks like with the cutting instructions. Okay, so for my sapphire, I roughed up the top part of the stone with my 320 grit diamond topper lap. Corundum's a very hard gem material, so 320 puts some probably good scratches into it. And I'm going to test out this Bondic. It's not a super glue, it's like a glue, but it's a UV glue that the UV light is supposed to set the glue. And the reason I want to test it out is maybe there's a case where I need to start cutting a stone right away, and I don't want to wait for the adhesive to set. I'm not an expert with wax, so I don't use wax, but that would be one thing you could use. So I want to try this UV glue. So let's give it a try here. So first, move the top up and put a drop of the adhesive here. The good thing about this is that it doesn't set until you add the UV light. So when I work a lot of times with my super glue, the problem is that I'm trying to move things around and it sets on me, and I end up with glue on my finger and not where I need it to be. So that looks like what we want. So now I will try this UV light. I can bring it back a little bit so you can see. Okay. It says it takes only about 4 seconds for the UV light to do what it's supposed to do and set the adhesive. And I may call it a super glue in this video. I don't mean to. It says it's not a super glue. So I'll try to call it a UV adhesive, which is what it is. That's probably much more than light than I need. So I'll do the finger test and see. Seems to have set. Okay, so I'm going to work on this stone right away and see if it holds. And probably one video is probably not a good test of this product, but unless it's a fail. But I'm going to give it a try and we'll see how it goes. So keep your fingers crossed. That was a complete and total failure. My sapphire popped off the dop as soon as it touched the lap, and the lap wasn't even rotating yet. A complete failure. I suspect it was because this product in the instructions says that it needs all the surfaces to be roughed up. And of course my dop is a smooth surface. I did rough up the stone. So anyway, it failed. I'll have to go back to my Loctite 404 super glue. Oh well, I tried. UV adhesive is a failure. Okay, for our Montana Sapphire, when we put the index gear, the index tooth at 96. So this means when we would be cutting at the 96 index, which is the G1 Girdle 1, the first set of instructions tells us to do. When we cut at the 96, we're going to be cutting the horizontal long part of our stone. So we orient our stone by putting it in our quill this way with the long part right there. Okay, so now we're ready to cut our girdle and kind of size our stone. So it's a rather small stone. This is the smallest stone of the Unheated Montana Sapphire small parcel that I bought. So I'm going to use the 320 grit topper because I don't need anything rougher, because I don't have to do a lot of preforming. The stone's already kind of preformed in the way of a rectangle. So time to cut the girdle. Okay, I finished preforming our Montana Sapphire on my 320 grit topper. So now I've still got to bring the Pavilion down a little bit to close up this part right here. There should be an even line, a keel here when I'm done. So I need to bring the Pavilion down a little bit. And I haven't worried about the corner facets yet. I'll cut those in a little later because I need them all to line up. The corner facets need to line up with the facet above it, and the facet above that makes a little point into touch the right there. So they all need to line up. So I'll worry about the corners later. Don't need to worry about them right now. Don't make the mistake of having to cut in your sides and your all four sides so that there's no gap here on the corners, because again, when you cut the corner facet, that's going to account for that. So if you do cut in these facets to get rid of these little spaces here, you can make the stone smaller than it needs to be, and we don't want to do that. So now I'll use the 600 grit, my Crystallite solid steel lap, and continue to work on the stone and make it closer and closer to what we're going to get. Okay, so with my 3000 grit diamond on a bat lap, I'm just starting to work the corners. And this is why you don't want to take all four corners when you're preforming and bring them all in for a perfect rectangle. You can leave, if there's some space on the corners, you can leave it, because as you cut these corners in, it's going to take care of those gaps. So I've got the final facets to cut, and they're at the 90 degrees. So they'll take care of these corners, and they're going to come up and they're going to match right here and here, and they're going to take care of the gaps that had occurred. So if I had brought the four sides in to make a perfect rectangular, the stone would be smaller than it needs to be. So let me go ahead and cut those four corners, and then I'll be ready to polish this stone. Okay, I finished cutting the corners with the 3000 grit diamond on the bat lap, and you can see here where this was, you can see that gap right there, the unpolished part where that black spot is. So that before I put that corner in, that went up much further. So that's why you don't have to cut your flat four corners in to get rid of that, the four sides. You can get rid of that gap when you use your corners. So the stone is a little bit bigger than it would have been had I cut the four initial sides all the way in to make a perfect rectangle. So now I believe I'm ready to polish, so I'll go to polish. Okay, I finished polishing our unheated Montana Sapphire with 60,000 grit diamond on a bat lap. So now I'll transfer our stone and cut the upper half. Our Montana Sapphire is small enough that when I started working on the upper half or the crown of this stone, I started with my 600 grit diamond lap, which is a crystallite solid steel lap. So because the stone is small, I was able to start at the 600 grit level. So now I've got it preformed, and now I'll go to my 12M, which is about a 1500 grit lap, and then a 3000 grit diamond on the bat lap, and then I'll see where I need to go from there. Okay, I finished polishing our Montana Sapphire, so now I'll take it out of our Ultratech machine and soak it in acetone so we can weigh it and measure it and send it off to BOPIE. At the Tucson gem shows this year, I met up with one of the miners from Montana, and he had a parcel of tumbled, unheated Montana Sapphires that he let me pick through. They were tumbled so you could see into them rather easily and see if there was inclusions or not, see how clean they were. So as a lot of sapphires are heated, I was kind of excited to find unheated, clean pieces of sapphire rough. I picked 6 excellent pieces of rough, and in this video I cut the smallest of that batch. It already had a rectangular shape, so I didn't lose a lot of carat weight when I cut this sapphire into a rectangular or emerald shaped design. I think it turned out great, and I would call the color a pastel blue color. Some people call this a cornflower blue. This is the traditional, most common color for Montana Sapphires, but to me it's a bit lighter than a cornflower blue, and I'd call it a pastel blue. At least in my mind. I also tested out a new type of glue, one that sets up with ultraviolet light. It sounds so promising, and I really would love to find a super glue that doesn't set up until I hit it with UV light. That would give me time to ensure I have the stone and the DOP exactly aligned where I want them. Unfortunately, this product was an absolute 100% fail. It did not hold at all. The instructions say that the surfaces you're trying to bond do need to be roughed up a bit, and my DOP, of course, has a smooth surface that might have caused a problem. In any case, the glue did not hold at all. I know one test is not scientific proof, but I really doubt that I'll try this product again, unless any of you let me know in the comments that it works for you, and maybe I did something wrong. But I am sure the product works great for other purposes, just not gluing a gemstone to a smooth DOP. So if any of you out there have a UV activated adhesive that you successfully use for gem cutting, please let me know in the comments. Again, I like the concept, just couldn't get this product to work. As for the design, I have cut the standard oblong with cut corner design before. It's one of my 3 go-to designs for an emerald or rectangular shaped cut. It is suitable for any cutter, even a brand new cutter. You could do this design. So give it a try. Let me know in the comments what you think about my unheated Montana Sapphire, what you think about the UV adhesive and the design, and as always, happy fasting, everyone.